Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good morning, Zoomers. And for all the people who herkle-durkled and stayed in bed all cozy and are not on Zoom today, we'll catch you on YouTube later. So, yes. It's very tempting to just snuggle on a Sunday morning. Okay, so today we are diving in to climate justice with open hearts and hopefully some stimulating ideas. Here in our community, we embrace a mix of wisdom and whimsy, seriousness and fun. As we embark on this journey together, remember that you're not just attending a service. You're joining a group of wonderful, quirky, eclectic folks that are very contemplative and thoughtful. So hopefully your day is filled with joy, laughter, and meaningful connection. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan, where we consider whether pineapples belong on pizza and whether AIs should have human rights. Okay, our land acknowledgement for today, we're going to take a moment to acknowledge that the native nations who belong to this land, including the Kaw, Osage, and Pawnee, and those who continue to call this area home, the Prairie Band Potawatomi, the Kickapoo Tribe of Kansas, the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska, and the Sac and Fox Nation of Missouri in Kansas and Nebraska. May our actions be guided by respect, collaboration, and deep commitment to justice for all people of these lands that sustain all of our lives. Okay, and we do have some lovely folks, so I'm just gonna go around the room and introduce folks. I am Taryn Cipra, and on piano will be Renee Brown. Jeff is our choir director, so you see him up singing and coordinating us all. Doug is back on tech, so running all the cameras and computers. Kathleen Oldfather is not on screen, but she's on Zoom as our Zoom host, so she'll be the coordinator there. We have Mary Beth Reese greeting folks at the door, and Les and myself are also on coffee team today. If you are thrilled to join any of these teams, just stop by those folks. Even if you don't think you're overly tech savvy or you don't think you've been here long enough to take on an important role, believe me, it's a very low bar to be woven into the community. So just stop by those folks and tell them you're interested. Okay, and we deeply appreciate all of you contributing today, so thank you.
Good morning, everyone. If it's not clear by now, I'm a Trekkie. Quick show of hands, is there any Star Trek fans? Okay, got a few. I'm also a futurist and a technophile, and as such, I look forward to a future like the one shown on the screen, where everything is bright white or silver, shiny, green, minimalist, where things flow and move effortlessly while also being quiet and moving with a light metallic purr or hum, where cars seem to have no weight and float just above the ground as if on an air hockey table. I have my hopes, but unfortunately, I don't think we'll get there without many sorely needed changes. The motivating stimuli to truly shift this paradigm are rare, but do pop up in society occasionally. For example, this photo called Earthrise. After it was shot, millions of people took to the streets across the US to protest environmental destruction in the first ever Earth Day. The US government later established the Environmental Protection Agency in 1970. Something about seeing our planet in this context stirs most people's protective instincts. William Shatner, who played Captain James T. Kirk on Star Trek, concurs with this perspective. Here's what he had to say when he went to space recently. Last year, I had a life-changing experience at age 90. I went to space after decades of playing an iconic science fiction character who was exploring the universe. I thought I would experience a deep connection with the immensity around us, a deep call for endless exploration. I was absolutely wrong. The strongest feeling that dominated everything else by far was the deepest grief that I had ever experienced. I understood in the clearest possible way that we were living on a tiny oasis of life surrounded by an immensity of death. I didn't see infinite possibilities of worlds to explore, of adventures to have, or living creatures to connect with. I saw the deepest darkness I could have ever imagined, contrasting so starkly with the welcoming warmth of our nurturing home planet. He continues, "This was an immensely powerful awakening for me. It filled me with sadness. I realized that we had spent decades, if not centuries, being obsessed with looking away, with looking outside. I did my share in popularizing the idea that space was the final frontier, but I had to get to space to understand that Earth is and will stay our only home, and that we have been ravaging it relentlessly, making it uninhabitable." In my own personal search for truth and purpose, one thing has kept pulling at me. I keep returning to a belief structure that fits me best. I grew up Methodist, and though I don't completely reject everything Christianity has to offer, my early attempts from my as of then unidentified nature kept filtering out unnecessary elements and teachings that I felt did not serve me or life in larger society or on the planet for that matter. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but many things, in my opinion, had to go. Beliefs about the afterlife were the first to peel away. I never understood the obsession with a permanent posthumous hell after we die, a condition serving no correctional purpose and clearly designed by church authority to scare people into church engagement. The promise of heaven was no different. Used together, the two clearly formed a carrot or stick proposition, compelling people into neatly formed groups of either obedient sheep or stubborn oppositional goats. Wheat and chaff. Heaven is for good people, hell is for bad people. I have found no hard evidence for this, but I believe the word heaven has etymological ties to the word haven, which just means safety. But who could deny that the experiences of heaven and hell, or safety and despair, are here now, are never experienced forever, and all of us have experienced them both from time to time. In the Lord's Prayer, the words, "Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven," is clearly a directive to turn earth, the realm of limitation, into heaven, a continuously redefined state of unlimitedness, fulfillment, and safety. In simpler words, the prayer beckons us to make the world a better place. Everyone has differing opinions on this, but my vision for a better world is still centuries off target, and I think we can do better. To do better, I think we need to start by dropping any preoccupation with the beautiful afterlife and focus on a life here and now. Enough is enough with the attitude of, it's not about the party, it's about the after party. I strongly suggest a new calling, one that encourages and builds upon the oasis that is already here, which has been here long before we all arrived. I do not see creation as something to subdue or control, but something we should preserve, study, and emulate. I like this quote by Terry Swearingen. "We are living on this planet as if we have another one to go to." I've observed humans, whether they are religious or not, speak as if we can monkey branch seamlessly into outer space and freshly colonize another planet should we jeopardize this one beyond repair. In my opinion, we need to treat the planet as if we plan on staying. Much like everything really, throwaway culture has a hard grip on everything from widgets to relationships, and now to whether or not we put in the genuine effort to create the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. How can it be argued the grass is greener where we water it? Another favorite quote of mine from Neil deGrasse Tyson: if we have the power to turn another planet into Earth, then we have the power to turn Earth back into Earth. And I'd go a step further, that not only can we turn Earth back into Earth, but we can and should turn Earth into heaven, or something approximating it. So the question is, what religion or philosophy and its accompanying guiding principles will show us the way? Judeo-Christian philosophy has the 10 Commandments. What's supposed to act as a comprehensive list of the 10 most important things to guide human behavior, to me, simply contains one too many unnecessary things and does not include a few things that I think are really important. I'll leave my ideas for amendments to that list for another discussion. In any case, I find this rule list sorely lacking, so I will set it aside. At long last, I have finally arrived at Unitarian Universalism's 7 principles. I love all of these, and especially upon zooming in on the 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. We get even closer to my core beliefs. That maybe the secret sauce truly is just to be a proud, responsive, dutiful earthling and to follow the rules that have been already laid down and created during nature's 3.8 billion years of research and development. In that time frame, organisms have performed what seem to us like technological miracles. Nature already has a set of rules and guidelines. Humans already have 30 million elder strategists to advise us. After all, most of us find being out in nature to be peaceful because it feels complete, whole, lacks nothing, lacks urgency, and asks nothing from us. In such a system, there is undoubtedly theft and murder, but even in the midst of this, an obvious balance and harmony has been reached and is maintained. Everything in this system is an active participant and defender of balance and mutuality. Freedom and growth are allowed, but everything keeps everything else in check so as to not create a zero-sum game. Modeling a political system from this example would be wise. I'm sure you all have been asked, what's your life purpose? But have you ever been asked, what is the purpose of life? By life, of course, I mean biological life, human and non-human life. Life's purpose is to create conditions conducive to life, simple yet profound and perennial. Instead of asking, what would Jesus do? We should ask, what would nature do? Biomimicry does just that. When I first learned about the concept of biomimicry from the original woman who wrote the book and coined the term, Janine Benyus, my mind was totally blown. To think that solutions to every human problem has been right in front of our noses, exhibited in true open source fashion, revives my hope in the future. Aside from her best-selling book, Janine founded AskNature.org. She and her team continue to work tirelessly as innovation consultants to connect every student of every profession with the wisdom contained in biology. She asserts that if architects and city planners took biology, our world would look quite different. I've got a clip of her. Keep in mind, she's been at this since the 90s, but I think you'll agree she's onto something pretty big here.
30 to 100 million species, maybe more. And in all that diversity, there is a hidden unity. There are a set of operating instructions, how to be an earthling. And there are life's principles like life runs on sunlight. Except for a few organisms in sulfur vents at the bottom of the ocean, life runs on current sunlight. We run on ancient photosynthesis, trapped in fossil fuels. Life does its chemistry in water as the universal solvent. And we tend to use very, very toxic solvents like sulfuric acid. Life depends on local expertise. Organisms have to understand their places. They have to know the limits and the opportunities of their places. And life banks on diversity and rewards cooperation. Life wastes nothing, upcycles everything, and most of all does not foul its nest, does not foul its home. We're a very young species, and probably our best stance as a young species is to be apprentices to these masters. We need to replace our old industrial chemistry book with nature's recipe book. Our synthetic chemistry is completely different than nature's chemistry. We use every element in the periodic table, even the toxic ones, and then we use brute force reactions to get elements to bond or break apart. Life uses a small subset of the periodic table, the safe elements, and then very, very elegant recipes. Low temperature, low pressures, low toxicity. That's nature's chemistry. It's a very different paradigm. And we have to ask ourselves, not just how to replace individual molecules for different kinds of molecules, but rather whole families of reactions. It's a big job to do that, but it's an Apollo project worth pursuing.
Okay, so to recap real quick, these are the 9 principles. With few exceptions, nature runs on current sunlight. Nature uses only the energy it needs. Nature fits form to function. Nature recycles everything. Nature rewards cooperation. Nature banks on diversity. Nature demands local expertise. Nature curbs excesses from within. And nature taps the power of limits. With this quote by Hubert Reeves, I'm sure you guys have seen this one. Man is the most insane species. He worships an invisible God and destroys a visible nature, unaware that this nature he's destroying is this God he's worshiping. Does it need to be said that humans often break all of life's principles? Social reference theory predicts that the fastest way for us to change is to pick a new mentor, to change whom it is we admire and want to emulate. As more people see nature as teacher rather than a warehouse, we will undoubtedly find our way to the adoption of the technology of biology and inevitably a spirituality of biology. Some examples of biomimicry are not new, some brand new and cutting edge. You guys are all familiar with Velcro, modeled after the clinging personality of burdock burrs. Redesigning wind turbine blades, incorporating the scalloped edges of humpback whale fins, reduced drag by 32% and improved lift by 8%. The Aptera electric car, a solar-powered electric car shaped like a dolphin, easily demonstrating half of the list of life's principles. This car has the lowest drag coefficient of any vehicle ever invented. It's the thinnest you can get a car without it disappearing. It's as small as you can get while still being able to comfortably fit a full-size adult human inside sitting upright. This is me sitting in one, at least the alpha version in San Diego, and you can see by the look on my face, I'm pretty pleased. It's a pretty cool car. Biomimicry can teach us not just how to build, but also how to behave. Governmental issues, social issues, relationship and interpersonal issues all have biomimetic solutions if we only choose to show up for the design brief. So not only are we learning to grow food like a prairie, adhere like a gecko, sequester carbon like a mollusk, create color like a peacock, but also to run a business like a redwood forest. We don't have to choose between nature and technology or nature and philosophy. The pernicious separation between these ideas in our culture is why biomimicry is squirming to be born. Organisms are the consummate physicists, chemists, engineers, and ecosystems are economies and societies beyond compare. No longer do we need to dominate, domesticate, or steal nature's secrets because nature's recipes aren't patented. Life manages consequential feats with a beguilingly simple set of common raw materials, procured locally, manufactured at body temperature and pressure, and processed silently in water. At the end of their useful life, these materials are regathered and reconfigured by other organisms, upcycled again and again with the energy of the sun. Absolutely stunning. So let me leave you with a few final thoughts for this new spirituality. If Father God is truly just Mother Nature, then being like God is being like nature. If we truly want a livable future, whether it's silvery and sleek, something out of Star Trek or a Jacques Fresco rendering, we need to start thinking outside the box. This quote by Nikola Tesla is, I personally think we should take aim and put in effort, but something tells me, as it already has told all futurists throughout time, that this workable destination is inevitable. Tesla says, nature may reach the same result in many ways. And I leave you with this final quote by Tesla. It is a mere question of time when men will succeed in attaching their machinery to the very wheelwork of nature. Thank you.